जो crashes होते हैं, is it like the machine's fault or is it the guy who's running the machine his fault?
Depends on the flight. During my university time, the big one was the angle of attack issue that the Boeing Max 8 was having, right? Basically, they installed something on the aircraft, did not give the proper training to the pilots, so the aircraft is not functioning how you need to.
Got it.
If I need to take a right turn and the car is going to always take a left, and you, the driver, has not been informed, you're going to keep cranking it to the right because you need to make a right turn. But the 100% locked the entire flight. No one is ever allowed except for one stewardess, who is the person communicating between the cockpit and the rest of the crew. No one else is ever allowed inside the cockpit. And they don't care if you shoot every single passenger on the plane. The pilot will not open the door. Because you relinquish control of the plane, everyone guaranteed dies. So as long as the pilot has control of the plane, he can at least save someone. Before I'm on the plane, I am like, okay, then get on.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम हिजवेर.
Walaikum assalam, Zain bhai. How are you?
ठीक ठाक, कैसे हो?
Alhamdulillah.
कब कैसे आना हुआ?
बस
जो लोग इसको नहीं जानते, इनका नाम है सैयद हिजवेर कुरतुलैन कादरी, राइट?
सैयद हिजवेर अली.
सैयद हिजवेर अली, सॉरी, मैं भी नहीं जानता अपेरेंटली इनको. बट ये बहुत ही अच्छा बच्चा है in terms of people respect him a lot. और you can rely on this guy no matter what. लेकिन जब मैं तुमसे पहले मिला था ना, मुझे काफ़ी, मैंने I told you this the other day कि मुझे थोड़ा सा ना वो हुआ था कि इसमें एटीट्यूड पड़ा है लड़के में और and everything, and I guess तुम्हें भी मुझसे सेम वही वाइब आई थी. क्यों? हम दोनों
We didn't interact much. We had always someone, an intermediary between us. Hamad, Shazib, Adla. Somebody was always the friend of me who was also your friend. So Hamad, we didn't have a direct friendship, so I think there was automatically like a distance of Hajar ji ka beta hai, izzat se rehna hai, I don't know how to react. So I'm kind of always in uncle mode around you.
Okay. Not
in the beginning. Now I understand that I don't need to be, so now we're chilling.
Now we're chilling.
Yeah.
खैर तो मैं इस बच्चे को almost I've known you for 10 years now, 11 years? So I'm 14, 15.
Yeah, about 10 years now.
About 10 years. So at that time you were in high school.
Yes.
And now, mashallah, you're a graduate in
Aerospace Engineering.
Aerospace Engineering. तो मैंने तुम्हें इसीलिए बुलाया था कि अभी भी हम न्यूज़ में देख रहे हैं कि यार हर तीसरे दिन अल्लाह माफ़ करे जहाज़ प्लेन क्रैशेस हो रहे हैं दुनिया में, स्पेशली पाकिस्तान में काफ़ी हुए. मैं जिस एरिया में रहता हूँ ना, वो बिल्कुल एयरपोर्ट के साथ है, कराची. तो वहाँ पे जो हमारी जो बाउंड्री से बाहर जो एरिया था, उधर जहाज़ क्रैश हुआ था अपेरेंटली, क्योंकि वो बिल्डिंग्स इतने करीब बना दिए उन्होंने, घर
एयरपोर्ट के बिल्कुल
साथ, और वो 3-4 मंजिला घर है. उसका जब वो लैंडिंग गियर खोला बेचारे ने, तो मेरे ख्याल से वो लगा पहिया शैया और वो क्रैश हो गया. फिर इसी तरह इस्लामाबाद के अंदर एक प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था अराउंड द मार्गरा हिल्स. एक में तो बेचारे वो अल्लाह उनको गरीक रहमत करे, जुनी जमशेद साहब, उनका भी इंतकाल हुआ था. लेकिन उससे मेरे ख्याल से पहले वाला जो इंसिडेंट था, उसमें जो पायलट थे वो मेरे दोस्त के अब्बा थे.
अच्छा.
एंड आई पर्सनली न्यू द गाय. तो द रीज़न फॉर कॉलिंग यू ओवर हियर, क्योंकि तुम ये चीज़ पढ़े हुए हो माशाल्लाह से. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तुम मुझे ये बताओ कि एरोस्पेस इंजीनियरिंग और एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियरिंग में क्या फ़र्क है?
Aerospace is a broader term.
Okay.
So within aerospace is everything that is not on the ground. That includes drones, airplanes, satellites, rockets. Everything off the ground is aerospace.
Okay.
Aeronautical is specifically for airplanes.
Oh.
Anything aircraft related would be aeronautical. If you wanted to do rocket science, that would be aerospace. If you wanted to do airplane specific, you can do aerospace or aeronautical.
Got it. So the NASA and everything, that's aerospace.
Yes.
Oh, nice. तो तुम कोई शटल वटल भेज सकते हो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से?
Inshallah.
क्या हमारे Sparko, I guess, yeah.
Send the first Pakistani to Mars.
Apparently they're sending someone to the moon right now.
Pakistan?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's like a joint venture with China.
Okay.
So they're going to the moon.
I've not been aware of this.
Yeah, but they're not sending someone. It's like a drone or...
Drone, okay.
Yeah, robot.
First step is always send a machine and then...
देखो, अब अनफॉर्चुनेटली मुझे कहना नहीं चाहिए, बट इनको कोई अकल थी नहीं है करने की. लेकिन जब इंडिया का सक्सेसफुल हुआ हो, चांद्रा 1, चांद्रा 2 या तो चांद्रा 3, उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा यार हमें भी जाना चाहिए चांद पे, ऐसी क्या बात है, तो अब ये जा रहे हैं वो भी चाइना के साथ मिल के। बट चलो देर आए दुरुस्त आए। मुझे ये बताओ तो एरोनॉटिकल इज स्ट्रिक्टली प्लेन रिलेटेड राइट?
Yes.
तो अब हम जो पाकिस्तान के अंदर देखते हैं, मेरे काफ़ी दोस्त थे वो फिर पीआईए में गए और वो थोड़ा सा उनका 2-3 साल का आई गेस कोर्स होता है, फिर वो एयरक्राफ्ट इंजीनियर कहलाते हैं।
Yes.
तो वो एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियरिंग करते हैं बेसिकली।
Yes and no. Depends on how you would want to define it. Would you define the mechanic that fixes the aircraft as the same as the engineer who designs it?
Not really.
No, but
Yeah.
title-wise, you'll still be an aircraft engineer or an aircraft. Here, you'll call it an aircraft maintenance engineer. Engineer लगेगा नाम पे by position without licensure. You don't need. You go to do a two-year course in college, and you can work for any airline fixing their airplanes.
Oh,
It is a difference.
over here it's 2 years too?
It's a 2-year program at college. Yeah, the difference is, I guess, beforehand or afterhand. One is taking care of all of the paperwork and designs and stuff before the aircraft is made. That's more the aeronautical engineering, aerospace engineering.
Got it.
Design and build the thing. The maintenance side is then fixing your aircraft to make sure that they remain airworthy and they can keep flying.
अच्छा तुम्हें पता है एक फ़नी चीज़ मैं बताऊँ?
बताइए।
मैं यूजुअली पॉडकास्ट में उधर बैठता हूँ।
अच्छा।
आज हमने थोड़ा सा स्टूडियो में चेंज भी किया है और जगह भी चेंज कर दी।
Alhamdulillah, that's good.
सही है साहब, मैंने आपको हिम्मत नहीं हुई मैं आपको बोलूँ कि आप इधर आ जाएं। लेकिन
आ जाते हैं हम, we can still switch.
It's alright because I think मेरी लेफ्ट साइड थोड़ी बेहतर है as compared to my right. My right is like
Okay, my left dimple's harder, so it's fine.
ओह डिम्पल की वजह से ओके। एरोस्पेस इंजीनियरिंग का शौक कहाँ से चढ़ा?
So जब हम पैदा हुए थे तो दादी जान ने कहा था ये बच्चा पायलट बनेगा।
अच्छा।
बचपन में वो शुरू हो गया कि जहाज़ पायलट ये रास्ता है हमारा। दादी ने कह दिया। उस मतलब ज़्यादा
पत्थर
अकल
में
नहीं
लकीर
थी
हो गया।
बचपन में, ज़ाहिर है 2-3 साल हमने पायलट का वो शौक करते रहे। 9 साल का जब था तो चश्मे लगे।
ओह
एक बच्चे स्कूल में बोला कि यार चश्मे के साथ तो आप पायलट बन नहीं सकते, पायलट के लिए आपको 20/20 विजन चाहिए,
Yeah.
कलर ब्लाइंड नहीं हो सकते। दोनों झूठ। उस वक्त
अच्छा, ये झूठ है?
you can wear glasses and
be a commercial pilot
yeah.
but not a fighter one right? Or you can
I think for fighter pilots they'll have more stringent medical requirements. I'm a little
oh
heavier side as well, but at the time when I was 9, it was what, 2007. No one's googling things. I didn't have a phone or anything, so मैंने कहा ठीक है यार, mom's a civil engineer, dad's electrical engineer. I'll be an airplane engineer. That's fine. So from there I started. It was about grade 4. I was like, I'm going to be an aeronautical engineer. Got to high school and saw, okay, there's actually scope for this. I can actually study this as a full-time career. So I took admissions at Ryerson University, now Toronto Metropolitan University.
oh they changed the name? I didn't know that.
They did.
Why? Ryerson was so
Ryerson has the person itself who it's named after has a
black
complicated past of like
complicated.
Aboriginal
I got it.
people,
Oh got it.
like residential school systems and stuff. So it was
I
quite
see.
bad. So there was a whole revolution and we changed the name. But so I got my bachelor's in aerospace engineering degree and I specialized in aircraft. So my specialty is in airplanes instead of
Got it.
like what's called drones or rockets.
Got it.
Yes.
तो ये मुझे बताइए हजरत कि like if I want to become like an aerospace engineer or something, so like क्या आप अपने अंदर पैदा करें कि आप जो हैं एरोस्पेस इंजीनियर बन जाए? कुछ भी नहीं।
I don't think you need to specifically कुछ पैदा होने की ज़रूरत है. A lot of people have chosen careers that they are not like fully passionate about it. It's just a job for them. Not every doctor has always been like, yeah, I'm gonna go save lives, but some just went and wanted the money, so they got the job and it was sufficient for them. Having a passion for aviation, for planes, definitely helps. I've always loved flying and flight as a whole. Just the
Same
concept
here.
amazes me.
Yep.
So that's definitely helped me be more attracted to what I'm learning, because now I can put the physics and the math behind how the airplane flies and how the wing moves, and it gives me a deeper appreciation for what I'm studying. In terms of overall studying, if you have, alhamdulillah, good, math, physics types of marks, if you can do basic engineering, it's not so much different from mechanical. It's just a difference of you're going to study on a car or an airplane. Same physics, different body.
Got it. So अगर बेसिकली एक बंदा है उसको मैथ्स वगैरह नहीं आती बट ही हैज़ द पैशन फॉर फ्लाइंग, तो वो ये भूल जाए Because
No.
I believe it requires a lot of physics, no?
It does require physics, and I would say to an extent an affinity for physics, just so that it makes it easier for you. If you suck at math, becoming a math teacher is going to be the hardest job for you,
100%.
right? Because that is something that you need to practice with daily and essentially get better at. Alhamdulillah, my math and physics was from a young age, it was quite strong. So I was more confident going into the field. Biologies, those types of sciences were very not my forte. If you are completely like getting C's and D's, I would maybe go a different route. If you're already in high school, maybe like grade 10 or 11, and your marks are not 80 plus across the board, I would maybe reevaluate
Okay, which
where
which,
to go.
which school do you recommend though for aerospace engineering?
In
Don't-
Ontario, you have 2, maybe 3 options. You have you have Toronto Metropolitan University in downtown Toronto. You have Carleton University in Ottawa.
Ottawa, yeah.
And then through U of T, you can apply to their engineering sciences program. And then I believe in their second or third year, you specialize in aerospace engineering.
Oh,
Engineering science is the hardest program to get into at U of T, from what I've heard. So I didn't get into that. But I got into Carleton and Ryerson, so I chose Ryerson just for being closer to home.
oh.
Yeah.
So like
Sorry, one more thing.
Okay,
You can
go.
also take the military route. So you can join
the military.
the military, Air Force, or something like that, and then go through schooling via
there.
them. Yeah.
But then you have to serve too, right?
Yes. You are then like on a proper army man and you're working
There.
for the Air Force or something. Yeah.
So can you like after you retire, you can get into commercial stuff?
Absolutely. Once your foot is in the door, they're going to look at overall experience. And if you've already served, especially in government positions or military type positions, it is a very big thing to have on your resume.
No.
Yeah.
Even over here?
Absolutely.
Because it's a very big thing in Pakistan. So
No, we do take our servicemen quite seriously here as well.
Okay. Nice. So okay, now I'm coming towards the funny side of the podcast. I wanted to be a pilot. And I still remember I told my mom, I have 6x vision by the way, 20/20 vision. And I wanted to become a pilot, but I still remember I went up to my mom and you know how my dad travels every other
Yes.
day. So she was like कि मैं अभी उनकी फ्लाइट में बैठ के दुआएं कर रही होती हूँ कि वो खैरियत से आ जाएं तो तुम्हारी फ्लाइट पे भी मुझे फिर यही दुआ करनी पड़ेंगी कि मैं ये कर दूँ वो कर दूँ. So I did not become a pilot because of my mom because she is terrified of flying. को बहुत डर लगता है. वो उम्रे पे जाते हुए बोलती है मुझे नहीं लेके जाओ बिकॉज वो 4 घंटे की फ़्लाइट नहीं कर पाती थी. अब सोचो वो अमेरिका से पाकिस्तान की फ़्लाइट करती हैं एंड नाउ शी समटाइम्स शी हैड टू ट्रैवल लाइक अलोन सो शी डिड इट बाय हरसेल्फ. तो अब उनका थोड़ा सा जो डर है वो कम हुआ है, मैं नहीं बोलूँगा ख़त्म हो गया है. तो हाउ डू यू लाइक अगर उनके लिए एक पैगाम आपको देना हो कि आंटी नहीं इट्स द सेफेस्ट मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन दैट एग्जिस्ट ऑन दिस प्लानट, तो क्या 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 कहोगे कि नहीं?
I would say this twofold.
Okay.
One is you can show the facts and say this is statistically it is the safest form of travel across the planet. Take car, motorcycle, pedestrian, airplanes are the safest. The reason for that is because we are so much more stricter with all of the rules, regulations. It's multiple countries and full continents coming together to make sure that this thing stays in the air. It functions like it's supposed to. I can go to a dealership, grab whatever tires and slap on whatever car tires
100%.
I want. I never can do that with an aircraft. Even the smallest cable even has to be approved by all of the approved authorities, and then I can install it. So one big thing is explain to them that because we put in so much effort into it, it is safe. If you look at the numbers, it is a safe way of traveling. And the majority of your aircraft incidents are not at altitude, at cruising altitude. They're actually during takeoff and landing. So that's actually when you have the most communication issues or many other aircraft in your vicinity. It's gonna inherently cause like a little bit of a thoda sa vehm aayega. Like by intersection pe itni sari gaadiyan aa gayi, I can do donuts in the parking lot all day long. No one's there. As soon as I interact with a lot more cars, that stress is gonna be a little bit more increased.
But what about the turbulence? Because turbulence is scary, right? Why
Turbulence is scary.
But why does it happen
Absolutely.
though?
Air pressure differences and temperature differences.
But turbulence की वजह से plane crash नहीं होगा.
Never. A direct result of turbulence was not going to be that the airplane is going to fall out of the sky. Physically not possible for that to happen. If the plane is going forward, it is generating lift, it is staying in the air. It might drop a couple hundred feet, all at once, absolutely, because that's what we feel.
Yeah, that's what I
right?
feel in my
Essentially,
stomach.
you have a pocket of air that is
Yeah.
a different temperature and pressure, and it has pushed your entire aircraft
Down.
up or down.
Okay, got it.
Right? If you're going into a very turbulent area where you have high and low pockets frequently coming, you're gonna feel a lot of up and
But
down.
you come
up and
from like
down.
the Atlantic side, from like Greenland, Iceland, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Over there's like crazy turbulence, brother. I'm like, इधर से नहीं लेके जा जहाज, उधर से ले जा भाई तुझे अल्लाह का
It is
वास्ता।
faster to go over the North Pole though than
Yeah,
around the globe.
but still like it is scary. But अब तो मैं आंखें बंद कर लेता हूँ और मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैं इधर लेवाइथन पे बैठा हूँ वंडरलैंड के अंदर।
Once you're in the plane,
Yeah.
yet मरेंगे तो ऊपर से there's no chance of survival. So if you're falling out of the sky, you're done.
हाँ,
There's no need of being
यही
afraid.
तो मसला है देखो।
Can't be afraid of that because you're not going to survive anyways.
हाँ,
मर
लेकिन
गए।
मेरी अम्मा या जो भी लोग डरते हैं जहाज़ में बैठने से वो इसलिए डरते हैं कि देखो गाड़ी में अगर एक्सीडेंट हो गया तो बचने के चांसेस हैं। ठीक है, आप निकलोगे जख्मी वख्मी।
सही।
कश्ती अगर डूब गई तो तैर वैर के आपके बचने के चांसेस हैं।
सही।
ठीक है, ट्रेन में भी बचने के चांसेस हैं। जहाज़ के अगर गया तो आपके बचने के
Yes.
चांसेस नहीं है भाई।
Unless you have like you safely ditch the plane and then you now need to swim to shore or you're on a stranded island or something, most crashes are severely fatal. I understand that.
अच्छा, एक मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले आई सॉ वीडियो जिसमें ना प्लेन का जो जहाज़ था और लोग डर रहे हैं। सॉरी, प्लेन का जहाज़ बोल रहा हूँ। प्लेन के जो विंग होता है ना, पर जिसको कहते हैं, वो तकरीबन समझ लो कि ऑलमोस्ट काफ़ी ज़्यादा जो है वो बेंड हो रहा था।
Yes.
यूं करके यूं करके यूं करके। तो a lot of comments were like, no, it is supposed to do that.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. Wings are inherently designed to perform what
Mimic.
is known as fluttering.
Okay.
When wings go up and down. If you actually were to measure an aircraft about to take off, its wings are lower than what it would be at altitude. Because
Oh.
there's so much, all of the fuel in aircrafts are stored in your wings. So the weight of the wings and gravity is pulling your wings down.
Okay.
Slowly, as you gain speed, your wings are. I look like a chicken right now, but slowly, your wings are going to generate lift. They're going to lift themselves,
Got it.
get to equilibrium point. Then they're going to start lifting the entire structure of the aircraft into the air, because they're attached to the fuselage. That is a few centimeters minimum. ठीक है? When you are traveling at 800 kilometers an hour through the air, you have a lot of
Up and down.
resistance,
Okay.
air resistance hitting your wing at all points. It hits the front, goes over the top and bottom. Any pressure differences is gonna. That was weird. That was not normal. If you have any turbulent air in the middle, it will cause more fluttering. But it is not until you see it like, okay, that's not supposed to happen. It'll be fine.
Achha,
It's meant to do that.
It is meant to do that. All right, got it. There are other work videos that circulate on the internet. कभी किसी एयरलाइन की हमने तो PIE से देखा था, बट अब वो काफ़ी एयरलाइंस का आने लगा है, फ्लेयर का और भी डिफरेंट एयरलाइंस का, कि वो छत में से पानी टपक रहा है। तो ये क्यों हो रहा है भाई?
I guess
बताइए आप।
depends on the airline, depends on the aircraft. So some of that I would say comes down to improper maintenance.
Okay.
If you have a budget airline or an airline that has been experiencing some financial difficulty, unfortunately, like PIA, in the past couple of decades, you may experience the quality of the aircraft is slowly starting to decrease. TV नहीं चलता PIA में.
100%, yeah.
नहीं चलता. Is it required to travel? No. Is the aircraft still safe to fly? Yes. That's a bonus amenity. ठीक है? So you can scrimp on the maintenance side, save some money. Now, how far do you want to save that money? Instead of 6-month maintenance, we'll do 8-month maintenance, 10-month maintenance, right? Those timelines for every single pipe, tube, fitting in your aircraft is at a specific time, check it, specific time, replace it. When you start getting financial troubles as an airline, you then need to kind of readjust, how do we make this airplane last longer? Then certain things might start slipping through the cracks, leak in the ceiling, a couple of screws are loose, things like that.
Okay, speaking of PIE, so you were born here, right?
Yes.
But you know what happened to PIE.
Yes.
We were once the most successful airline of Asia,
Yes.
and we are the ones who started Emirates in the first place.
Yes. We sent our engineers, we sent our planes, we gave all of our expertise, and then
So what happened to PIE?
I'm sure so many more people are excessively more qualified than myself to speak on the matter, but simple terms, I would say a combination of corruption, politics, and the world changing with Pakistan kind of getting left behind in certain aspects. So we were at the top of our game, and we were helping, the Middle Eastern airlines
100%.
set up, get going. But then they kind of had a lot more funds backing them. They took what we gave them and they ran with it. They're like, yeah, awesome. Give us more, give us more. How can we build on this? How can we improve? How can we make air travel better, more attractive to people? PIA has not improved anything. There's no...
Is there...
no further benefits in the past 30 years. There's no change that's come to the average flyer. TV laga liya, theek hai, awesome, thank you. And now none of them work.
Is there...
Within my lifetime, the TVs were installed and no longer work.
100%. Is there an anonym for like improvement?
Oh, what, sorry?
Anonym.
Anonym. What do you... I don't know what the word means.
Synonym.
Is a synonym means similar word?
Similar
theek hai?
words. Anonym means...
Antonym. Opposite word, you mean?
Are you supposed to pronounce the T?
Antonym, yes.
100%?
Yeah, pronounce the T.
No.
Yeah, antonym.
Check karo.
Oh, I can check right now. Antonym.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, sir.
I am sure you're not supposed to pronounce the T.
So, you're looking for an antonym for, sorry, what?
Improvement.
Bigarna?
Bigarna to
Bigarna is that's like an actively, like, you're doing something to ruin it. Let's see if...
Antonym.
Okay. there you
Antonym. Take it.
go.
Pronounce
Your
the T.
speaker is nice.
It's very loud. I maximized it. I thought they weren't speaking.
Okay.
An antonym for...
Okay, let
Improvement.
me just do it again. When मेरी बेइज्जती हो जाएगी.
Sorry, go for it.
Okay. Is there an antonym for like improvement?
Yeah, more or less. Like, this is something I just Googled.
Degrade or something like that?
To improve is to make something better.
Better.
To make something worse.
To degrade.
To degrade, I guess, yeah. Impair. Like, it would deteriorate over time. But,
वो तो चलो natural causes की वजह से भी हो सकता है ना?
yeah, improvement is like you actively did something to make it better. खुद ब खुद बेहतर नहीं हो जाएगा. खुद ब खुद चीज़ें बिगड़ जाएंगी.
अभी मैं PIA से ना I had like a family emergency in Pakistan, so I had to take PIA because I had to travel like very fast. वो मैं एक दो दिन अगर Emirates या कतर लेके जाऊँ तो वो तो
Layover and whatnot, yeah, yeah.
right? So I took PIA. So a friend of mine told me कि बेटा TV भी नहीं चलते, फ़ोन चार्ज करके लेके जाओ, Netflix पे जितना डाउनलोड कर सकते हो कर लो.
14 घंटे बाद डाउनलोड कर लो. बिल्कुल.
But obviously it's a 14-hour flight. फ़ोन कितना बेचारा चलाएगा?
पोर्टेबल चार्जर भी मर जाएगा बेचारा.
हाँ वो मर गया. तो मैं उन खातून के पास गया and I asked her very nicely कि can you put my phone on charge? Because at that time COVID was like at the
Peaking.
peak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say.
So you needed like वो कोई app थी, Pak app, something like that.
Like an arrive can for Pakistan.
Arrive can for Pakistan.
Say.
तो मैं गया मुझे वो चाहिए होगी. Like can you charge my phone? And she's like sorry we're not allowed to do that. I'm like आपका चार्जिंग पोर्ट चल नहीं रहा जहाज़ का. ठीक है आपने लगाया वो तो ऐसे. मैं आपको फ़ोन दे रहा हूँ, मुझे वो ऐप चाहिए होगी. सीधे फिर मैं जहाँ उतरा, फिर मैंने अपने हैंड कैरी से वो चार्जर निकाला, फिर मैंने वो एयरपोर्ट पे प्लग किया, फिलहाल वो हो गया, स्टार्ट हो गया, फिर मैं निकल गया. बट मुझे बस यही तरस आ रहा था PIA को देख के कि चलो हम तो पाकिस्तानी हैं, हमें पाकिस्तान जाना है, सो वी विल टेक PIA.
Yes.
इवन दो द टिकट वाज मोर एक्सपेंसिव. मैं कतर के टिकट मुझे दैट टाइम आई वाज गेटिंग इट फॉर 1400 और PIA का मुझे 2100 का पड़ा.
Okay.
So I paid 700 more.
For the benefit of direct flight, basically.
Just that.
That's it.
That's it. मुझे खाना भी कुछ समझ नहीं आया.
Khana is the same.
Yeah.
But no further amenities.
अभी तुम सब छोड़ो, मैं और मेरी वाइफ उम्रे पे गए. So my dad was with us too, right? तो obviously my dad was traveling, तो उन्होंने हमें business class में करवा दिया सबको कि चलो तुम लोग भी business class में चलते हैं. तो PIA की business class. तो मैं कहा चलो शायद इसमें टीवी चल जाए.
मैंने भी यही उम्मीद रखी थी.
नहीं चला. बस वो सीट आपकी थोड़ी आगे रिक्लाइन हो गई.
Only some of them.
नहीं मेरी हो गई थी
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह.
ठीक है. और क्या कहते हैं, खाना थोड़ा सा मिल गया अच्छा जब चाहिए.
थोड़ा ज़्यादा खाना दे दिया.
और थोड़ा सा वो उससे जाके आपको ज़्यादा पूछनी थी.
वो थोड़ा सा बिछा के दस्तरखान प्लेट वगैरह देते हैं.
सर आपको कुछ चाहिए और ये बस
फॉइल टिफिन. हाँ.
तो मैंने कहा यार लाइक अब जब एक पाकिस्तानी है उसको कोई मसला दरपेश हो रहा है तो वो तो चलो PIA ले लेगा. बट जो rest of the world है, why would they take PIA if you're providing them this service and you're charging them almost half more than
Yeah,
what
50% more than
50% more than what
the
they're supposed to
competitor,
put. Yeah. So maybe PIA, you should take over PIA now. Go to Pakistan. Go
I'm
to
not doing
Pakistan.
nothing of the sort.
Go to Pakistan. But yeah, a lot of people, they don't know that. But you used to work for a company that used to design what?
They used to track aircrafts. So we built a device that you could install in your airplane. It would essentially intercept all of the data going into your black box. I'll explain that in a second. And stream that to your phone
Black box.
in real time.
Okay.
So
So
essentially...
it's like a security camera. कि आपको पता है कि आपका जहाज कहाँ है and everything, right?
Correct.
जिस तरह मेरे पास प्लीज अप्रोच पे जो है कैमरेज लगे हुए हैं और ये लगा हुआ है कितनी
But
बजे.
do you know what your oven temperature is? Do you know every time your door opens
Yeah, I know, I
how
know.
much gas you've consumed?
No, but I know how every time my door opens. Trust me, and it's so freaking annoying.
No, the oven door.
Oh, not the oven
The
door.
oven door or the back door.
No,
Or
so-
like ganti baje. Every time you make a every little thing, every parameter that is produced by the aircraft, altitude, temperature, time, heading, and all of the operational, how is your aircraft functioning, all of your engines, all of your APUs, stuff like that. That's stored locally on what's called a black box, essentially a digital recorder that's stored in the tail, and it just holds all this information during your flight. As soon as you turn on the airplane, it's starting to record the data. It records everything that happens to the airplane throughout the life of the aircraft. So in the event that something happened, the pilot can say, hey, let's check the data, experience some weird turbulence, or you can always look back and access that information. The reason it's stored in the tail is that's usually the last thing to impact when you crash into something, the back of the plane.
Got it.
So they've obviously made it super ruggedized. It can float in water. You can, if you end up ditching in a plane in the desert or the Arctic tundra or whatever, it's meant to be safe. It's a twofold process, though. One is all of your parameters, your digital information. Second is the cockpit.
The
The cockpit voice recorder. ठीक है?
Why is it called cockpit though?
I don't know, but that's, I believe, a term from like old boating language.
Okay.
Because a lot of aviation language came from naval
Got it.
terminology, like port side, starboard side, things like that. But essentially, anything that the pilots or any voice audio that happens inside the cockpit is also stored on the black box.
The Mayday and everything.
Correct. You don't have a video stream of it, but you have their audio. So you know what they're saying. You know how they're communicating. Oh, they stopped talking for this long, things like that. And any incoming radio transmissions that they receive also are recorded.
Okay.
ठीक है. When an aircraft crashes or an incident happens, the first thing is retrieve the black box. Once you have the brain of the computer, you also have the entire history of since the aircraft turned on, every second, what happened to the airplane. Where was it? What was all the temperatures and pressures and parameters? And you can truly build a full story of the whole crash and everything that happened. The events leading up to it, and maybe if anyone survived, why did they survive?
तो जो बेचारी वो मलेशियन एयरलाइन थी उसका तो कुछ भी नहीं मिला.
MH370. We found random parts.
But you never found the
Never the black box.
box. Oh.
That's a big issue. Now, if I'm storing all this information, awesome. I don't have access to it all the time. So it's an inherent flaw in the system. I understand it's, 50, 60 years old technology. So we did the best we could at the time. We make a copy of the information and hopefully we can go and retrieve the information. Now we are at a point technologically where we don't have to rely on it only being stored on the plane. I can give it to you on your phone in real time.
That's what your company did.
That's what my company used to do. We would take a copy of all that information and every 15 seconds send you a copy of that data. So you can get a live information like, oh, my engine temperature all of a sudden spiked. Oh, it's been increasing for 3 hours. Before your plane lands, you can have a team of firefighters on the ground saying, engine 3 might go on flames as soon as you guys land.
Oh, nice.
Preventative maintenance. Things break on the plane. You can see trends that happen in like their performance, like increasing pressure or temperature. Hey, something might be weird. Let's go check that out before it's scheduled maintenance. That can save you a lot of money as well.
And it's fuel efficient too?
Yes. So because we're analyzing the entire aircraft flight, we can then advise the client, the airline, or the pilots that, hey, when you take off, you're actually pulling up a lot harder than you need to, consuming extra 10,000 gallons of fuel. We can then tell you, hey, adjust your course this way or make slight changes to your maybe route. And they were able to get like 2% fuel savings. In the scheme of, hundreds of thousands of dollars of fuel per flight, it's a significant amount of money.
नाइस. अच्छा, अभी थोड़े दिनों पहले ही रमज़ान गुजरा है, तो अब I don't know if it's the truth or not, but apparently pilots are not supposed to fast.
There are quite strict rules around pilots and like their entire lifestyle.
Okay.
You need a specific number of hours of sleep, like recorded hours of sleep. Their mental state is always mental and physical state is always paramount because you are in charge of hundreds of lives, right? For a large commercial aircraft, 300, 400, 500 passengers, 3 pilots are responsible. The captain, first mate, anyone in the cockpit is responsible for everyone. So what they require is if you got too little sleep, if you are not energetic enough for the day, you don't have the proper fuel essentially in your body, you shouldn't be fit to fly. जहाज चलाते चलाते सो गए, नींद आ गई, वो तरावी पढ़ रहे थे, फजर के लिए उठे नहीं, चलाते चलाते सो गए, that type of thing cannot happen. So they're a lot more strict with what pilots can and can't do, how long ago did you drink or take any prescription drugs, things like that. And I'm not sure if they're fully banned on fasting and flying, but it is very possible because we have quite lengthy like rosa here. I wouldn't put it past them to be like pilots should not be allowed to fast.
Okay, got it. अच्छा, वो जो मैं तुम्हें बता रहा था ना कि वो जो एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था कराची में, बिल्कुल मेरे घर के सामने वाली कॉलोनी में, मैंने ना उसकी एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री देखी. तो आई गेस इट वाज फ्लाइंग फ्रॉम लाहौर और इस्लामाबाद, एंड right before Karachi, it was supposed to make like a U-turn and then come back, and then make another U-turn and then come back. So उसका जो descent था ना वो थोड़ा calculated था because it was on autopilot. तो वो जो पायलट थे हमारे, वो थोड़ा मेरे ख्याल से अल्लाह माफ़ करे, उनको जन्नत नसीब करे, बट वो थोड़ा सा मेरे ख्याल से जल्दी में थे या क्या था. उन्होंने ये जो जितने ये चीज़ें थी कि ये U-turn यानी सर्कल करेगा और फिर डिसेंड करेगा, वो सब कुछ उन्होंने उसको बाईपास कर दिया. तो मैंने जब ये डॉक्यूमेंट्री देख रहा था, मैं कह रही तो बड़ा आसान है, ये तो सब कुछ ऑटो पायलट के थ्रू हो रहा है. तो फिर पायलट का मेन काम क्या है फिर? अगर रोज़े क्यों नहीं रख सकता फिर वो? उसको तो बैठ गए करना है, उड़ाना है, उसके बाद क्या?
You could argue that the aviation industry has had self-flying planes long before self-driving cars, right? Tesla abhi aa raha hai gaadiyon ke sath. Planes have been fly-by-wire, and then they were full autopilot for quite a few years. The issue is certain portions of your flight are not autopilot. Usually your taxiing, takeoff, and landing. Specifically, pilots are very alert, very aware. Even if your autopilot is guiding you, your hands are on the yoke. I'm not letting go of
What
this
is it called?
Yoke. Y-O-K-E.
It's not a steering wheel?
No. So depends on one hand or two hand, depends on the aircraft, but pilots are ready at a moment's notice.
Okay.
You can sleep in a Tesla, and the Tesla will still get you to your destination. Would you still want to kind of keep an eye on things, hold on to the steering wheel the whole time? Sometimes they drive into a random traffic, drive into a random wall. You don't know. It is still a computer that can make mistakes. You still have issues in terms of collisions as well. So by being proactive, I can communicate with other airplanes, other people on the ground, and get a more full picture than the computer alone, self-contained within the airplane.
तो तुम्हारे नज़दीक, तुम्हारी नज़र में और तुम्हारे नज़दीक दो वर्ड थोड़े जंबल हो गए थे मेरे. जो क्रैशेस होते हैं, is it like the machine's fault or is it the guy who's running the machine his fault?
Depends on the flight. There have been significant instances of both, where the aircraft itself was at fault.
Okay.
Like during my university time, the big one was the angle of attack issue that the Boeing Max 8 was having, right? Basically, they installed something on the aircraft, did not give the proper training to the pilots, so the aircraft is not functioning how you need to.
Got it.
If I need to take a right turn and the car is going to always take a left, and you, the driver, has not been informed, you're going to keep cranking it to the right because you need to make a right turn. But the computer in the car is going to keep taking you left. Similar thing happened, so you can't blame the pilots in that case because that was not even the aircraft itself like malfunctioning, but it was functioning how it was supposed to. They just didn't design it maybe fully correctly.
So miscommunication ho gayi na?
Yes. You can have issues where something just breaks on a plane and like you're screwed kind of at that point. But a lot of the times it is usually something that could have been prevented from either pilot mistakes, communication, high stress levels, or like the weather is super bad and like they didn't get enough sleep before. It's always a amalgamation of causal factors that result in some sort of incident, a crash, or whatever. It's usually not just like one random thing, guy got up and just decided to crash into a plane. That's like the minimum incident percentage-wise, I guess.
So there are like two major big players in this industry, right?
Yes.
Boeing and we have Airbus. Boeing के crashes हम देखते हैं, majority
Yes.
is Boeing. Airbus के इतने नहीं होते. Why is that?
So
Is Airbus safer than Boeing?
at a baseline, if you just look at number of planes that have fallen out of the sky or issues that they've had, you can always make the argument that, well, this company has least number of crashes, or this airline has the best track record so far, so they're inherently safer. And usually there is some truth to that. The facts don't lie. Why are one company's planes having so many more issues than the other? That comes down to where your manufacturer is located. Boeing is an American manufacturing company, and Airbus is a European manufacturing company. Europe and America as a whole, I'm not going to go specifics into France or Germany or one country over the other, but Europe as a whole operates very differently. They're very, very strict with the rules. No dilly-dally, no hanky-panky, no business. ठीक है? Issue with America and Boeing is that Boeing is such a monopoly in America that they basically have a run of the FAA, the Federal Aviation Authority. The people who are responsible for the laws and rules and regulations of American airspace are super tight friends with the Boeing buddies. So when I say, yo, skip the safety check, yo, it's fine. A lot of that, dosti kind of impacts how further down the line you're going to have maybe more safety issues or concerns with your aircraft. The majority of your issues so far have, in like the last year or two, have been from Boeing because they don't have the money to fix their aircraft. They don't have the proper parts to fix their aircraft. So they're going into their quarantine log. They're saying, hey, this part was marked for do not fly. I took it out, I installed it on the plane. Plane still hit their delivery deadline. Airline still got the plane. So to meet my target, I am now breaking the law or doing unsafe things. That's what the whistleblowers essentially were coming out and saying, hey, we are now being forced into a position where I need to break the law or do something super, super unsafe that's going to eventually cause significant loss of life or casualty. It's not just the people on the plane. Like the crash in Karachi, it wasn't just the people on the plane who died. It was the entire city that the plane drove into, right? And that essentially comes down to, why did you install that faulty part? And the bottom line for shareholders has become more important for Boeing than the safety. So as long as I can get my shareholders a couple more dollars in their pockets,
got it.
It's minimal compared to the payouts I have to pay for, a couple hundred families. Wow. It's a little sad, like bleak reality.
So you're saying that corruption also exists over here?
Absolutely. The difference between Western and Eastern corruption is usually how in the face it is. वहाँ पे खुलेआम होगा, दिन दहाड़े चेन चोरी हो गई, गन पॉइंट पे दरवाजे के सामने whatever. यहाँ पे आपकी आइडेंटिटी चोरी होगी, आपके नाम पे लोन ले लिया आपके, right? Same chori, but in very different ways.
Sophisticated manner.
A little bit more, yes. Yeah. When you come to large corporations like Boeing, you are a massive corporation, right? So much of Seattle is just employed by Boeing. Just, you own like freaking half the city and their employees. Sab aapke liye kaam kar rahe hain. This level of control is usually not without its downsides.
True. So you're saying that Airbus is much safer than?
I would much rather prefer to fly on an Airbus plane. Yes. I'm not gonna go into like a Sukhoi or a Tupolev Russian plane ever. But between Airbus and Boeing, I'd prefer.
What's
Airbus.
Bombardier though?
Bombardier is a Canadian aircraft manufacturer, but they don't deal with large scale commercial jets. They'll do smaller jets and like business class, private jets, things like that.
So when it comes to private jets, Bombardier is the GOAT?
Absolutely not.
No.
I am so sorry to say.
Okay, then
no.
Who's the GOAT?
Bombardier is a major player, and they do have...
It is respectable.
Yes. Okay. It is, alhamdulillah, it's a good company. It's got a lot of experience under its belt, and they make good planes. But there are enough competitors in the smaller aircraft manufacturing market where when we're when students like myself are when I was a student looking for jobs, it's kind of like, yo, don't work for Bombardier. It's not known for like the best workplace to work at. It's
Okay,
not great.
that's a different story. Like, apparently, a lot of people say the same thing about Amazon, that you're not supposed to work at Amazon because it's not the best environment.
Mhm.
But you cannot take that away from Amazon. That Amazon is the biggest
Absolutely.
thing when
It
it
doesn't
comes to
take
like
away from what they.
yeah, online
Yeah.
shopping and stuff like that. So that's what I'm asking. So Bombardier, as a manufacturer, are they huge, like big, the goat?
I wouldn't say the GOAT because Boeing and Airbus still manufacture business jets as well.
Oh,
They're not out. Bombardier and Boeing make everything, from the smallest of helicopters to the largest
sorry,
whales.
no, Airbus
Sorry,
and
Boeing and Airbus.
yeah.
They make everything, the entire spectrum of
Okay.
anything that flies, right? They even have their own missile, sectors and weapons defense and blah blah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, Airbus defense is a huge component of their
I
business.
thought America had like Lockheed Martin and stuff like
So they do. Lockheed Martin is a specific American military
that thing.
contractor. They don't make passenger aircrafts. You have Bombardier, Cessna, Embraer. These are a few other names outside of Boeing and Airbus that also make business jets. But usually it comes down to price tag and what the person who's buying it wants from the aircraft. At that point, you're not looking for like the name tag so much. So it's not like, oh, I drive a Prius, I drive a Maserati, whatever. It's the man owns a private jet. Like they're so beyond giving a shit about that.
True. So, how do basically like you can basically now track anything.
Yes.
You have air tags and stuff, right? You can track your phone. You can track your bags. You're gonna track your luggage and stuff like that. You track your car. Why do planes still go missing?
Okay. Your
Like it's
yes.
a, it's a like 100 $200 million thing, right?
Yes.
I'm अपना phone track कर रहे हैं. I'm tracking my phone. If it gets stolen or if it gets lost, I'm like, where the fuck is my phone? So I have that option to track my phone. तो plane क्यों नहीं हो पा रहे?
The technology you use is different, and the scale of the problem
So
is
just
different.
put like a bunch of air tags in the plane? No.
No, because the AirTag is going to communicate with what? A Wi-Fi network. There are no cell towers at 30,000 feet up in the air. So even the internet that you're getting in the airplane is satellite internet, similar to Starlink,
Okay.
right? Satellite internet, you have satellites in space. They take internet connection from the ground, shoot it up into space, and then they're beaming it to an aircraft traveling 800 kilometers an hour.
So that's why the internet on the plane is so shit.
Very, very shit. And it's excessively expensive. Every megabyte is so expensive to transfer, and the airline has to pay for it. So Air Canada pays for their Wi-Fi package, and then you either get free internet on the plane or you get buy the package.
$9 or something.
Yeah. सवाल originally क्या था?
सवाल originally ये था कि why do planes still go missing?
Why do they go missing? You tracking your phone is using all of our other phones around us that can ping. Other iPhones can ping each other. You are pinging from cell phone towers. Take it. When you're on an airplane, you are limited to what the airplane is already transmitting and receiving. It has antennas to communicate with the closest satellite at all times, and it periodically sends you, hey, I'm going this fast, this high, this direction. That's it.
Okay.
So every 15 minutes, I told you, I can give you an arrow, and next 15 minutes, I'll give you the next arrow. And essentially, when you go on like flighttracker.com or something, you see that arc, a beautiful, nice tracking your flight. That's not happening. You can have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40, up to an hour of no ping. And it's all just calculation based on, well, last time it said it's this far and this fast. So in 20 minutes, it should be this. It should be around here. And that's what they'll show you.
And if it's not here, then it's alarming. Yeah.
But you will never know. How would you on the ground know if that is true live data or if that's calculated data? You won't.
But still, like, अगर उसका एक track है, right?
Yes.
And it has crossed this mark, but it did not cross the other mark. Then that's when you get worried, and then you're like, कहाँ गया?
If essentially you don't check in to your next station along every flight, that's why you don't fly straight across the Pacific Ocean. There's nothing around you. So in the event that something does happen, like Amelia Earhart, nothing around you for miles and miles to help you. So if you wanted to go from Australia to Canada, you're kind of going to follow more of a land-based or as close to civilization as possible the entire time. Once you miss a ping, essentially, what's going to happen is that's going to set off alarm bells at the airline and the place that's supposed to be checking in on you and your landing and takeoff. Everyone's going to where'd this aircraft go?
Okay.
You can still track it. You'll have a GPS antenna on every aircraft that you can track, but that only goes so far. Once it goes black, essentially if you crash into the ground or into the water, you have no further knowledge about if the water carried it, if it sank to the bottom.
Once you go black, you never come back. Once you go black, you never go back. Sorry. How insensitive of me.
So that's why it's harder to track aircraft than your phone. You can't do Find My and ping your aircraft. You
No,
can't
that's
find
what
my
I'm
an A380. You know what I mean?
I said Emirates don't have Boeings? Or they do?
I feel like they do. I feel like they
PIA is
probably
only
do.
Boeing, right?
Yeah.
They don't have Airbus.
I don't think they have any Airbus.
Airbus is expensive?
When you're buying new, they're both expensive.
Obviously, yeah. But
The way the majority of aircrafts are actually purchased are between airlines. So I own 50 airlines. I'll lease it to your airline. I'll lease it to your airline. I myself am not an airline. I just own aircraft. And I'll lease 50 to you, 50 to you, 100 to you, different configurations, whatever you want.
got it.
So a lot of airlines don't own their own aircraft. They lease it from someone else. Or other airlines sell between each other.
Okay, do aircrafts have like a shelf life or life
Yes.
span?
Yes, they do.
Uske baad, they're not fit to fly.
Absolutely. Different parts of your aircraft have different shelf lives, I'll say. And there does come a time when the end of life for the entire aircraft as a whole, where it's like there's nothing else to replace. It is go park this and buy a new one.
Because I've seen videos of, like thousands of aircraft just...
The aircraft graveyard in China type of thing. Yeah. And that's real. It's just you have so many of those aircraft that to essentially think about it like this. I need to deconstruct the entire aircraft to change that one pipe.
So that
The
no point.
cost is so much higher than to repair it. At some point, you're just going to like, listen, it's unsafe to because you'll have either some damage or whatnot that, stretch fractures and stuff, or it's just too expensive to repair. One of the main things that happens is because you're going up to a lower pressure and then coming back to a higher pressure, and you're pressurizing the inside of the cabin. The inside of the cabin, essentially, when you're at room temperature on the ground, you're like this. At altitude, you're like this. You'll essentially bulging and contracting. That's happening to the entire tube portion of the aircraft. That's the entire fuselage. That's going to cause stress fractures. Very, very microscopic fractures that eventually you can see stories where the whole ceiling of the airplane just ripped off. That's because all of those cracks essentially lined up, joined together in one shot. The pressure was too much and it just popped off. So it does happen, but we do so many calculations to make sure that we know what part is going to die when. We take it off the shelf before then.
अच्छा वो जो in movies I've seen in like certain movies and stuff कि वो जहाज का दरवाजा खुला हो सब बाहर निकल गए. So that's true
Yes, to an extent.
to an extent.
Yes. One is the speed at which you're traveling. If you open even just like your car window on the highway, you can notice that the papers in your backseat are going to start flying because so much air is passing by that it's actually sucking a little bit of the stagnant air inside of your car out of the car as it flies by. Second thing is the inside of the aircraft is higher pressure. At altitude, it's low pressure. And the world wants to come to an equilibrium. So if anything is high, it's going to go towards the low so that both of them are medium. That's going to basically say high pressure is going to push air, people, the trolley cart, your Coke can, out the window because outside is lower pressure.
Got it. Yeah. अच्छा, is it true that airplanes they don't really have like air conditions?
What do you mean?
So when the plane is like doing taxi and stuff, right?
Yes.
So it's essentially usually it's warmer,
Mhm.
but when you fly, it's nice and cold. So they say, oh they don't have like real air conditions.
You do have... So an air conditioner is essentially compressing the air to make it colder, and then it spits it out. At an altitude of 30,000 feet, the air is already cold. So I don't need to compress it a little bit more to push it in. And it'll be actually... I might need to actually warm it up so that it's comfortable for you in the inside the airplane. once the aircraft is sealed, the engines are actually intaking your air and pushing air into the cabin. So you do have a constant stream of fresh air, and on the ground, it's just not as important to turn on the air conditioning sometimes.
But I've seen and I've suffered too, by the way.
Yeah, they just don't turn it on.
Why though?
Waste of gas. If I'm just sitting on the tarmac for like 3 hours, I'm not turning the AC on.
So then just
I gotta go fuel up again.
Yeah, then just put me out of my misery and tell me to go to the airport and chill over there. मुझे क्यों जहाज में बिठाया हुआ है भाई?
Usually everyone's already seated. We're taxiing and then you just go घूम रहे हैं, waiting and waiting. It's, I don't know, man. Pilot's discretion, I guess.
एक मेरा सवाल था.
जी.
If you have a runway, right? उस runway पे एक टाइम पे एक ही flight land कर सकती है और एक ही take off कर सकती है.
Yes.
ये नहीं होता.
No. That is, it happens sometimes, but it's usually like the person's going to get reprimanded for bringing in flights so close together. If you, actually because we live quite close to the airport, you can see one airplane. And then if you follow the line, you'll see a little bit further away another airplane and then another airplane. They essentially all have a runway to come down. In the air, they have a specific track, this altitude, this speed. I'm going to slowly come. Every airplane comes in the same pathway, follows the same oval, same direction, comes down and lands. It is preferred for the any airport to have a takeoff separate and a landing separate. I can continuously take off from there, and I can continuously land from here. And the direction of which way you're taking off and landing also depends on wind and sun, this and that. So you'll have a preference. Every airport has a preference for which way to take off and land.
Okay, got it. खैर हाँ मुझे बताओ कि what is like the season? Is it like windy season or is it like storms and rain and stuff like that, or is it like snow or fog where you're like थोड़ा सा dangerous है like ना?
So anything outside of a sunny day, I don't like driving a car. I don't like rain. I don't like snow.
That's
I like fog.
you.
Yeah, I'm just saying in terms of like now
as a human.
Put that as a human.
There,
as soon as uncertainty is into the equation, is not great. Airplanes can fly completely blind.
Okay.
You can blindfold the airplane completely, full fog, rain, storm, whatever jo bhi hai. They can detect how far the ground is. They know where the runway is located, what my speed is, what my altitude, which position of my airplane. I can make a full landing without seeing the runway. Airplanes can do that. Take it.
Okay.
So it adds a little bit of safety because you know that majority of planes can do that. Certain simpler aircraft can't. So they have limitations. When it's too foggy, you cannot fly into this airport. Oh, it's too stormy, too rainy, you just won't be able to.
So why do we still have like flight delays and stuff?
Flight delays are usually
because of bad weather and stuff too.
It is. You can fly through the storm. You can wait 10 minutes and have an easier flight.
Okay.
Right? It's not just your flight. It's not just your flight though. I got 50 other planes taking off. Same time, everyone's gonna get delayed. So all of a sudden, a storm coming in, or even if we knew a storm was coming in, the airline sets a time. 3 o'clock, planes taking off. Airline sets that time with the airport. Ab 3 baje tufan aa gaya. ठीक है, we'll wait 3:15, 3:30. We have to kind of wait before we send it off.
Just Star Navigation क्या है ये?
Star Navigation was my old company that would make a digital flight data recorder and stream that information to your phone or your computer or anything. So on your dashboard, you could essentially track all of your aircraft and all of its parameters within 15 seconds. The reason we had such a small interval of time is because after Malaysian flight crash MH370, you had an Air France crash a few years before that as well. Planes were missing. Planes were falling out of the sky, planes were going missing, and the world's kind of just like, yo, what the hell's going on? So I think the European Aviation Space Administration and kind of like the world as a whole came together and said, we need to kind of change our laws to implement a bit more of a strict reporting system. Every 15 minutes, every 30 seconds, a little bit shorter time frame. Instead of 15 minutes, make it 15 seconds or 30 seconds. If you're in an emergency distress situation as well, they changed those parameters as well. So basically, what STAR was focusing on is getting the majority of the world ready for when that implementation comes into effect. As soon it was delayed because of COVID, but essentially, if any critical situation happens on your aircraft, emergency alerts start going off to every single department immediately. Instead of, now this is happening. Oh, maybe the flight might get delayed. Oh, all of a sudden the flight's disappeared into the middle of the ocean. And then you're sending, the Coast Guard and all these boats and ships to go find the plane. You know well before, this plane went off course 30 minutes ago. And you can have a team ready on the ground. So they were just basically trying to move the aviation industry along and bring it closer into like modern day times.
तुमने अभी थोड़ी देर से पहले अभी कहा था कि black box is like a very old technology, right?
Yes.
So how can we revolutionize that?
I would say revolutionize by introducing these types of technologies like live data streaming. So the black box can stay. Don't change anything to how it operates and whatever. It's fine. It works very, very well. You can add that additional, hey, let's make a copy and also have it available in real time so that we don't have to chase the black box once the flight goes missing. That, I think, is the main hurdle for the black box itself, that it's locked into the aircraft. I need the plane to land or crash and find it to be able to figure out what happened.
So abhi jo, when we go online, like if my father's flying or if I'm flying or something like that, so I'm tracking the flight. Idhar aa gayi, idhar aa gayi, idhar aa gayi, idhar aa gayi. So what's that then?
That is predicted flight path.
Oh, that's not real?
If on flight, I think it's FlightAware or FlightTracker.com, one of them, there's a color difference in the line. So green is actual flight data, white is predicted.
Oh.
And a lot of your cruise is white.
White, yeah, predicted, yeah.
So it's, they said they would be this fast and this far. They said this, so it's just estimating. And then as soon as you ping again, now it's live, coming back into land.
Oh, I see. अच्छा, so इधर तो मैंने देखा है और ऑलमोस्ट दुनिया के हर कोने में मैंने देखा है कि यूजुअली एयरपोर्ट से तकरीबन 2-2.5 किलोमीटर पास जाके आबादी शुरू होती है
जी.
पाकिस्तान में ये नहीं देखा मैंने, ठीक है, स्पेशली कराची में, क्योंकि
separate issue, but yeah.
हाँ, तो why is that कि वही क्रैश अगर खुदा ना खास्ता हो तो आबादी पे ना हो?
Not always.
Okay.
So a lot of
Noise pollution?
I know at least for the Western world, a lot of our airports were something else before they were officially airports. YYZ was like a radio weather station or something beforehand, before it eventually became a Air Force base during World War times, and then it became a full airport, the way it is today. So a lot of these places go through these like iterations of what they used to be. I would say, why do you have such a large radius? The airport is freaking massive. YYZ, I think, has like 6 or 8 runways. Each runway is like a kilometer or something long. The aircraft, we can land the world's largest aircraft at YYZ. One of the few airplanes in the world that's the giant Russian airplane that's sitting on our tarmac for a couple of years, the Antonov 225 or 227. It's the largest aircraft in the world right now. And it's capable of landing at YYZ because our runway is so long. That means I need to push the population a little bit further away.
So it has nothing to do with the safety or anything, right?
There is minimum distances where you shouldn't be building close to the airport for that very reason, that if an airplane comes in too short or, overshoots the runway completely, if I land and I'm coming in too fast and I need a little bit more runway, it's better to have an open field than an entire neighborhood to drive my airplane into. So they set a set radius, which is an extra additional factor of safety more than what they do.
Okay, what are those like red lights on the top of the buildings? Is it to guide the airplane?
Top of buildings?
Top of buildings, yeah.
At the airport?
No. Regular buildings like tall skyscrapers and stuff.
No, that's just a red light at the top of an antenna. That's usually like a radio antenna.
अच्छा, मुझे बचपन में लगता था कि नहीं वो प्लेन को गाइड करने के लिए मुझे मत टकरा जाना, मैं बिल्डिंग यहाँ पे खड़ी हूँ. No.
No. Because you have proximity sensors for your aircraft, so you know where terrain is, so not to like crash into it. And the flight path that they take, you're not flying over over the skyscrapers of Toronto. Like to the point, like if you are flying over actual buildings, you are at an altitude where the building height doesn't matter. And so if you notice, YYZ Toronto Airport is not in Toronto. It's in Mississauga. A little outside of the city. Okay, 50, 60 years ago, Mississauga was not a giant city. So you were outside of the city limits, that's where the airport is. That's where the planes are going to come in, and then you come into the city. Slowly, we've kind of grown all the way around all of our airports, but that's how it started. It was like a go do it over there.
So apparently they are shifting the Karachi airport from Karachi to Noriabad, which is like a smaller city, like 30, 40 kilometers away from Karachi,
Acha.
which is a good sign then. Is that what you're trying to say?
Not necessarily. Depends on why they're moving it and where.
Okay, well,
I would have to see where this location is because
like outskirts में ही है. ठीक है क्योंकि obviously इंसिडेंट हुआ शायद उसके बाद वो कह रहे हैं कि नहीं यार कराची एयरपोर्ट जो है वो बिल्कुल सेंटर में आ चुका है अब शहर के.
the probably cheaper thing to do would be to move the people. Would be to relocate the
No,
people.
no.
Then the airport.
Karachi has giant.
I'm not talking about the
population,
entire
brother.
population of Karachi.
No, but even
Those
if you,
those that have encroached onto the airport areas where it's like, hey, we need a little bit more, like 1 kilometer radius around the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. Relocating that would be a cheaper.
the people who, I'm telling you this, the people who live right next to the airport, they cannot move them.
Then you get into like you get into kind of Pakistani issues at that point.
Yeah.
One major issue that you do have though, Karachi has become so overpopulated. It is such a small city that like going anywhere like 3 kilometers, no, it's 30-minute drive. Okay, if you put the entire airport 40 kilometers outside the city, you remove a lot of that traffic away. But all that does is send the traffic away, and then they're gonna just keep feeding back into the city. So whatever road is gonna go towards that airport, 24/7 traffic jam.
I have a
Yo.
very stupid question, by the way.
Absolutely, there are no stupid questions.
Okay, what happens when you like poop and pee on the plane? Does it like fall from the sky?
No, no. So
I know the
sometimes-
answer.
Sometimes yes.
It does?
Sometimes. If you ever see blue ice, never touch it. That is frozen pee from an airplane.
You're shitting me.
Yeah. Like blue ice, like falling from the sky. Don't touch that. It's like fluorescent. Like it's a different color. But basically,
why though?
There's a tank
Okay.
underneath all the bathrooms. Stores all your pee and poo. When you land, the way they remove all your garbage, all your luggage, a truck comes, connects this big pipe, drains all the tatti, and takes it away. The thing that I was talking about is essentially sometimes you have leaks in the tank. So a little bit of the pee water will leak onto the outside of the fuselage and freeze. Because it's so cold up there, it'll just freeze.
Yeah.
Once it gets heavy enough, it'll break off. Giant pea ice block falling from the sky.
Okay, so you now I know the reason why they tell you not to throw your paper towels and stuff in the toilet, right? Because it will clog the toilet.
Yes.
But when I was a kid, I didn't know. So I did that. I threw the paper towel in the toilet and then I just drained it. I came and I sat on my seat and the plane had the worst turbulence ever, right? And my entire family was sitting. And in my head I was thinking कि जो मैंने फेंका है ना टिश्यू उसकी वजह से जहाज में कोई मसला हो गया है और मैं अल्लाह में से माफ़ी मांग रहा हूँ कि अल्लाह आइंदा नहीं करूँगा please. And I told my mom in that scenario because I thought we were about to die because वो छलांगे लग रही थी सबकी, ठीक है? And in that moment my mom, you know how she is, right? She scolded me. उसका उतर के मुझे बोलते हैं कि नहीं तुम्हारी गलती नहीं थी बेटा, वो तो इसलिए बोलते हैं. हाँ, लेकिन उस वक्त तो उनको इतना डर लग रहा था, उन्होंने कहा तेरी वजह से ही हो. ठीक है. तो अभी एक वीडियो आ रही थी कि किसी जहाज़ में बेचारे का वो टॉयलेट सीट जो है क्लॉक हो गई, वो पूरा का पूरा जहाज़ जो है वो गंदा हो गया. तो ये भी इंसिडेंट होते हैं.
बात बताऊं?
बताएं.
Airplanes are filthy.
I know that.
बहुत गंदे हैं. And yaar, please, auntie and uncles, put your shoes back on. Please put your shoes back on. Do not be walking barefoot. That is not the place to be walking barefoot. I understand it's a long flight. You can take them off. Don't be walking around. यार उसी ज़मीन पे मैंने उल्टी की हुई है.
तुमने?
मैंने 100% उल्टी की हुई है यार. I've thrown up in a couple of airplanes as a kid. They wipe it away. They do a little carpet cleaner, and then it's done. Khalas, ready for the next flight. Sometimes it's happened where they like बस थोड़ा सा जल्दी से पोछा मार के literally turn around for the next flight, and someone has to sit in that ulti seat. It is literally, you can find stories online of people being like, I'm literally sitting in like a wet seat.
Yeah. I have this question, and I don't care about the safety of the planes or anything. But please, can we have a separate compartment or something, section, for the people who have like infants? Please.
No, you can't.
Why?
You can't.
If just give them like, front seats, brother. I don't mind. Just go away from me.
Any spot in the aircraft, someone's gonna come for it. आप सामने वाले देंगे, first class business वाले बोलेंगे नहीं पीछे भेजो. पीछे भेजेंगे, the people are gonna complain. Oh, you sent us to the back. This
No, so it's their fault they're flying with a freaking infant.
It's not an issue to fly with an infant. I understand.
Oh.
I understand.
It isn't.
I understand. There are many tests from Allah during those times. रो रहा है बच्चा. PI में तो मतलब वही आते हैं. दादी माँ आएंगी या माँ with 3 kids. Like, it's such a demographic, like, stereotype, but it's true. Honestly, you have limitations in terms of age requirements. So 2 साल के बीच नीचे ticket खरीदना ही नहीं पड़ता. After that, you physically have to buy a ticket, but where you buy that ticket is up to you. You can't control the population in that way. अब आप बस में चढ़ेंगे, बस ड्राइवर बताएगा you have to sit in this seat.
No, so obviously boarding, हम बस में तो चढ़ के कहीं भी बैठ जाते हैं ना. Boarding pass में तो आपकी सीट assign है ना. So if someone is traveling with an infant, just give them like back seats or front seats and stuff like that. Like all the infants should be like in the center of the plane. तो वो रोएं जो भी हो, और हमारे जो पीछे जो लोग हैं उनकी make their like cabin like soundproof or something.
You sound like you would do very well private flying. Just charter your
Allah
plane
give
next
me,
time.
Allah
Inshallah,
give me the
man.
money, Allah.
हम सब एक जहाज ले लें.
ZED Talks, बड़ा हो जा. So yeah, but okay, I have
Can't do that.
flown in those, but not anymore, on those double-decker planes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them anymore.
I think it's just the A380 or like the Beluga. That's the double decker. It needs to be a like massively large airplane, and the flight needs to warrant it. So from here to Vancouver, you'll never find that plane because you'll never have that many people going from here to Vancouver on any given day. You have enough flights back and forth between them. You find those for the international transcontinental flights from here to Abu Dhabi. You'll probably be an A380. When you're most of your flights going through like Qatar, Turkish Airways, a lot of these planes, you'll get the A380, the double decker. But the double decker is not, the second floor is not for you. That's not.
Yeah, that's business class.
Yeah, so that's not for peasant class.
Yeah, I know.
Just letting you know, it's not for us.
Hello.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. I mean, एक सवाल था मेरा तुमसे भी कि if you would have to rank your airlines, yeah, starting from PIA, because we both are Pakistanis, yeah.
They're gonna.
Okay, you know the funniest thing? There are 2 airlines that I hate, and I hate the most in the world.
Mm-hmm.
One is PIA, and the other one is Air
Both flagship carriers of our, mashallah, home countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not great.
Bro, Air Canada की seats, ये seat सबसे ज़्यादा comfortable है.
Yeah, they don't care about your comfort though.
And a lot of people like Etihad. I don't like Etihad too. Etihad seats are pretty uncomfortable too.
I haven't flown in quite some time with Etihad, so I might not. My butt doesn't remember the contours of it.
The airlines that I love, obviously is Emirates, Qatar, and Turkish.
Top 3,
Top
100%. I would put KLM in there as well. I haven't flown with them, but like reviews wise, I would say they're.
I've heard good things about Singaporean.
Singapore, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know which plane PIA flies from Karachi to Lahore. It's not a huge
Don't know either.
amount of time. It's like 1 hour 30
Yeah.
minutes or something like that. That's the duration of the flight. But it's a huge plane. So is it worth it for them to fly that plane?
If it is a full flight every time, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like, aren't they burning like more fuel that way?
If it's a full flight, you made your money back. It's not only 100% making your money back. There's a 70, 75, whatever. There's a minimum percentage where the airline will make money or lose money. There's a break-even point for how many passengers and what. Like obviously, if you did all first class and all business class, that might pay for all the economy class because the price difference is so much different. But there's a level of how many people you need minimum before we say, okay, we want this to be a route for us because we will make money on this route. They'll never start a route knowing that there's going to be 3 guys flying once a month on this flight.
True. I actually just Air Canada just recently right now, but I flew from here to Montreal,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an Air Canada flight. But then from Montreal to Pakistan, it was a Qatar airline.
Yeah.
But that plane was nice. For the first time in my life, I saw those windows where you can just set up the tent. You don't have that thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, which you need to pull down and stuff. वो टेंट का लेवल आप सेलेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि
Remember what aircraft it was?
I believe it was a bigger aircraft though.
From here to Montreal.
From here to Montreal, yeah. मुझे ये था कि यार तो छोटा जहाज होगा, पर वो छोटा जहाज नहीं था, वो बड़ा जहाज था. अभी
Okay.
नहीं पता मुझे क्या था.
Like a 333
333.
configuration. Okay,
Yeah.
proper.
Yeah. Maybe it was flying somewhere else too.
It could be after Montreal. they
After Montreal,
fly
it was going somewhere
yeah.
else. But yeah, I love that feature. कि यार अपने window tint आपने अपने हिसाब से किया and everything. तो
That would be a newer generation aircraft within the
Yeah,
last
that's what I
10
thought too,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
फिर I was flying on Qatar. Qatar did not have that. But when I was coming from Pakistan, I took some other airline, I believe. And it also had that feature. I was like, okay, yeah, this
The
is
dimmable windows.
dimmable windows, yeah. तो ये मुझे एक सवाल करना है कि वो मुझे ये लगता था कि due to like security reasons they do that, but I guess the reason is something else. कि वो जो flight और take off के वक्त वो आती हैं कि इसको ऊपर करें शटर को.
It's so that everyone can see.
That's it.
That's it. When you're at cruising altitude and it's the middle of the night,
Hmm.
what are majority of the people doing? Sleeping.
Hmm.
So you wanting to see outside the window, screw you. Other 800 people want to sleep. Close your window.
No, so वो तो वो
So
करती है.
at landing and takeoff, majority of the people want to see outside the window.
Oh.
मैं खिड़की पे खरीद लिया, मैं बंद रखूंगा. अब बताओ. I can be an ass and buy the ticket.
But I don't want to see. I want to sleep.
During takeoff and landing, they prefer keep it open so that everyone else can see outside. But you can absolutely, the entire flight just buy the ticket and say, no, I'm gonna keep it closed.
Okay, I used to
But
think...
you're just the inconvenience then.
Okay, I used to think
You're an
it's because of security reasons, because there's a sniper looking, guess what, बैठा हुआ तो नहीं है कोई गंदा. नहीं.
No.
अच्छा, how, like, हम आ ही गए उस topic पे, so obviously something happened in the country down below.
Yes.
Which involved aircraft.
Couple of planes, yeah.
Couple of planes.
Mm-hmm.
It was very unfortunate and everything. So, after that incident, do you think the whole industry changed?
The world flipped over.
Obviously,
after
the
that.
world flipped over.
No. Like,
especially for
industry-wise,
us.
100%. The level of scrutiny and security that you go through now is unheard of 25 years ago. You walk up to the counter, say, I'd like the next flight out. What's your name? Here's a ticket. Have a good day. No security check, no bag check, no name check, no license, blah, 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 nothing. Get in, go. And once someone has incorrectly taken control of an airplane, hijacking, there were very specific different rules as well that you do not argue with them. Jo keh rahe hain, baat suno unki. Whatever they say, because maybe living is still better than guaranteed dying. ठीक है? After that incident, the cockpit is 100% locked the entire flight. No one is ever allowed except for one stewardess, who is the person communicating between the cockpit and the rest of the crew. No one else is ever allowed inside the cockpit. And they don't care if you shoot every single passenger on the plane. The pilot will not open the door. Because you relinquish control of the plane, everyone guaranteed dies. So as long as the pilot has control of the plane, he can at least save someone.
So are you saying that planes do not get hijacked anymore?
They do.
So how?
But they are not to the same extent that they used to be. To the point where someone smuggled a gun on, held the pilot at gunpoint, kicked everyone out of the cockpit, and drove into a building. Can't have that nowadays. Because you have so many checks and balances before you get on the plane, you're already limited to what you have once you're there.
But I think this rule only implies in the Western world, because I've seen stories from like famous people from Pakistan and India and stuff like that, and they're like posting about, oh, I got to sit in the cockpit because the pilot knew me and stuff like that.
So that would never be during flight. That would always supposed to be before takeoff, like before taxiing, while people are still sitting in the plane. Like,
Okay.
aa rahe hain log abhi tak, right? Pilot does his pre-check, whatever. Pilots are chilling. You can ask the stewardess, hey, do you mind if I take a look or speak to the pilot? Sure thing. Let me check with them. Pilot's free, so they'll let you in, come take a look around, take pictures, sit down in the seat. Same when you land. When people are leaving the plane, that would be the time to do so. During flight, no way. Absolutely to no passengers. And if so, then I don't know.
Okay. But obviously the security on the airports got stricter too.
Yes. Not every country, I agree. Certain countries are still like pretty loosey-goosey with their security. I brought like an entire 1.5 liter bottle of Coke from Dominican Republic, forgot it in my bag. Didn't even like send off any alarms that like I'm bringing so much liquid. 1.5 of Coke, right?
That
they have a
was
100 mil limit. But
why is there a limit though?
They don't have a guarantee of what you're bringing.
Oh, it could be like...
It could be an explosive device. It could be a mixture of whatever, right? So by limiting you to the 1 quart bag per passenger, like your damage is mitigated. The maximum damage one person can do, चाहे जितने भी bum के chemical जो भी ले आए, it's going to be minimal. For water and stuff, because it's a clear, colorless, odorless liquid, that could be anything. So they don't like water and other fluids in to the airplane.
But they don't allow like face washes and stuff too sometimes.
It's just a volume thing. You just have too much of it. They'll even take, if you have a large bottle and like this much perfume, they'll take the bottle. आपकी 100 ml से ऊपर बोतल ले लेंगे. Like you can see I have 2 mils of liquid left. No, take the bottle. That's up to the TSA guy then. Sometimes they're just dicks. Sometimes they need a life. But it's essentially a limitation on the maximum damage one person can do.
Okay.
While still, allowing you to take your shampoo and whatnot into your thing. Your suitcases go through your same security checks as well. And that's why they always get tagged with your little stickers. And then they go through their x-rays and stuff. So if you have a bomb in your suitcase, that can also be detected. If you have a giant bottle of shampoo that's actually nitroglycerin, वो तो suitcase में जा चुका. That's inside the plane now. So you have no access to it. You can't ignite it. You can't, do anything with it. It's out of access. So that's why they say batteries, sharp objects, shaving kit, this and that. Put it in your check bag, and it's away so that there's no access.
Okay. अच्छा, I have a friend जिसका भी कुत्ता उसके साथ जहाज में गया. And मैंने इधर देखा था by the way for the first time कि कुत्ता जहाज में घूम रहा है.
Yes.
Like, वो लेके चल नहीं रही आंटी. But वो सर्विस डॉग था.
Okay.
That's when I got to know. So बाकी जो कुत्ते वगैरह हैं वो केज में नीचे होते हैं जहाँ पे सामान होता है.
Sometimes. Depends. So I have a cousin who flies frequently between Calgary and Toronto because he comes here for school. He takes his cat back and forth. So
But it's in a case though.
He has a cat carrier, like a soft suitcase type of thing. And that counts as one of his carry-ons. So the cat is a carry-on. So he has a backpack that's going to go into the above cabinet. And because the cat, obviously animal, that has to go below the seat in front of you. So the cat's always with him physically on board. When you have, I believe, longer flights...
So if someone is allergic to cats, then what?
Tough shit.
What the fuck? No?
You are in public. So I am not responsible if you're allergic to peanuts and I accidentally give you a high five and I ate a peanut butter sandwich. I'm not responsible for that. That's your job. You are in public. So you are responsible for your own safety in that case. Your allergies are not my concern. I'm not saying this to be a dick. I'm just saying you're not going to be worried about what I'm allergic to and what medical issues I have. Right? So that then comes down to the individual.
Okay, basically I'm scared of cats. So but I pass it on I'm allergic to cats. So, yeah. So that's
service dogs, I would assume that they were given specific permission to be able to walk in
Do they have to buy tickets for service dogs and stuff?
I'm not sure about tickets. I'm sure that there is
because my friend his
I'm
dog
sure there's a process for it.
No, his dog is like a pet. It's not a service dog.
ठीक है.
So उसने उसका ticket लिया था apparently. But ये जो है service dog, I'm pretty sure they can get to travel.
They might not. Depends, I guess, the airline and how big your animal is. People have taken entire peacocks on the plane, and it just गोद में बैठा हुआ है पूरी वक्त. There's pictures of a lady, I think it was just holding a peacock in a plane the entire flight.
Okay, I guess I can travel with the infants then, but not the animals. Yeah. Khair, mujhe, like you still did not rate your top 10 airlines.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would. I would have to fly, I guess, with more people to be able to rate 10. PIA definitely not reaching the top 100. Dude, no. Like, none of your TVs work in business class. What the hell am I paying for? Your seats don't recline in business class. What the hell am I paying for? A couple of extra salan rotis? No, thank you. No charging capability. No, like, your washrooms are trash. Your staff is trash. I'm sorry. The airline as a whole can just go die.
Yeah.
Air Jinnah is a flight that I...
Fly
Jinnah, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I recently took that from Karachi to Lahore.
It's not that
And then I
bad.
took it from Islamabad back to Karachi. Both legs, mashallah, very good. Thoda sa chota sa sandwich diya. They got, like, you know, a little bit of food. Even though it was like a 2-hour flight, very short. Cordial staff, nice clean aircraft. Things work. They don't know TV, obviously, but the air conditioning fan works. Like, I felt like, yeah, this is a nice little aircraft, you know, 2-and-2 type of thing. PIA, I've never, since childhood, I've never felt like, yeah, this is a nice aircraft. You walk into Emirates, Etihad type of thing, you're like, yeah, airplane. PIA में आप दुआ पढ़ के बिस्मिल्लाह करते हैं, you know.
बिस्मिल्लाह तो आपकी मेरे से दुआ पढ़ के ही हो रही होती है.
हाँ, but this is before I'm on the plane. I am like, two nafil. I mean. Okay, then get on.
या अल्लाह पीआईए को बेहतर करे.
I mean,
या अल्लाह पीआईए के हालात बेहतर करे. या अल्लाह पाकिस्तान के हालात बेहतर करे.
Qantas is really good too. Australian. Qantas is also known for their good flights.
Like मुझे तो Middle Eastern Airlines for some reason, you know, because it, I guess it's convenient enough for us because we don't have to like pick halal food and everything. So it's
I don't want to eat vegetarian options when I don't have to.
One of the reasons why I hate Air Canada also is their halal food is shit.
Never had it.
So a lady came up to me when I was flying from, I guess, I was flying from Heathrow to Vancouver. And she was like, Sayyid, halal meat, halal food. I'm like, yeah. So I thought it was going to be something. And from London, Heathrow, to Vancouver, it's YVC or something like that. I don't know.
YVR,
yeah. It's an 8-hour flight or probably more. Yeah, she gave me like a halal burrito, man. थोड़ा कोई घटिया था. मैं कहा ये मैं खा के क्या करूँगा यार. But yeah.
So recently I just took the PIA flight from here to Karachi and back. And so I upgraded myself to business just for the hell of it on the way there because I was flying alone. On the way back with the whole family, so just normal casual flight. You know what's it called?
Economy.
I didn't want to say peasant class again. Economy class, sorry. And I noticed portion sizes. They reduced portion sizes significantly in like the past 15 years. Har meal ke saath aapka bun aata tha, meetha aata tha, chota fruit cup is now gone, bun is now gone. Times 600 passengers, times every single flight. How much paisa is PIA saving? By giving
Where
you
is
less
that money
food.
going though?
Allahu alam. Jebon mein. ठीक है, so that's one huge thing. There was a study where they removed one olive from the salad.
Yeah, my mom told me about that story.
Right? And it was essentially the people who like the olives aren't going to notice the difference. The people who don't eat the salad or don't care for the olives don't know the difference.
The company
made bank
Yeah.
just by removing one olive per plate. PI ने तो पूरी आपकी आधी meal काट ली. They cut half your meal out, bro. And then you still don't have the funds to fix your aircraft? I am baffled as to why I should fly with you. Ever again.
Sure.
They have lost all incentives. Your main incentive for PIA is direct flight. That is
100%.
it. Which is why all the people with young kids, all the people with elderly parents, hop on PIA. Because ek yahan pe chado, wahan pe utro.
And you know the funniest thing, by the way? If you go and try to book PIA from PIAC.com, it doesn't work. You won't be able to see the flights. So you have to go on like Cheapo Air, TripAdvisor or something like that. Yeah, but इसी तरह किसी अपने
Find some uncle, auntie
को call
buy a
करें.
ticket.
हाँ.
Since my childhood, I've always known that we go to a flight agent to buy PI tickets. But whenever I've traveled on my own worldwide, it's always been buy my own ticket, find whatever website. I can either go through airline or Expedia, Trivago, whatever other type things. That's concerning. That you're like I can't book with you.
थैंक यू सो मच जुबैर, आप आए। पाकिस्तान को आप जैसे लोगों की ज़रूरत है, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आपका कमांड भी उर्दू पे काफ़ी स्ट्रॉन्ग है, इवन दो यू डिड नॉट स्पीक, नो यू डिड स्पीक सिंगल वर्ड ऑफ उर्दू, फ्यू वर्ड्स ऑफ उर्दू। तो बट आई वांटेड यू टू टॉक इन उर्दू बिकॉज मेरी जो मेजॉरिटी ऑडियंस है वो पाकिस्तानी और इंडियन है, तो दैट्स वाई
सही।
ये जो टॉपिक था ये, बट
टॉपिक थोड़ा सा ऐसे मुश्किल था मेरे लिए कि पूरी उर्दू में बात करूं, क्योंकि इसमें कॉन्सेप्ट जो मुझे समझाने थे या बात करने थे वो थोड़े से अंग्रेज़ी में मेरे लिए आसानी थी जी।
तो बट तुम्हारी उर्दू कितनी इतनी सही, क्योंकि बैक इन द डे मैंने फर्स्ट में यू आई थॉट कि तुम पाकिस्तान में वो बच्चे होते हैं ना 10-12 साल पाकिस्तान में रह कर आए होते हैं।
जी जी।
बट देन आई गॉट टू नो यू वर बोर्न हियर एंड रेज्ड हियर। तो तुम्हारी उर्दू वो पठानी उर्दू क्यों नहीं है जो इन लोगों की है कि हम जा रहा था, हम कर रहा था?
तो इस बात को तो आई वुड से 100% अम्मी अबू को फुल
Credit
क्रेडिट
जाता
जाता है कि उन्होंने टोक टोक के घर पे उर्दू में बात करवाई। अम्मी अबू नानों से कज़न सब के साथ पाकिस्तान जब भी जाते थे, और हमारा पाकिस्तान भी जाना आना काफ़ी रहा, हर 2 साल या 4 साल बाद हम लोग जा रहे हैं। तो वहाँ पे इतनी सारी बड़ी फैमिली है, सबसे आपको उर्दू में बात करनी है, अंग्रेज़ी में बात करेंगे तो मजाक उड़ाएंगे, और बाहर से आया लड़का पता चल जाता है ये वो। तो प्रैक्टिस आई वुड से घर पे आप प्रैक्टिस करते रहें सालों भर तो उर्दू सही हो जाएगी। और पूछें कि ये कैसे बोलते हैं, ये कैसे बोलते हैं, गिव अप नहीं करना कि बस अंग्रेज़ी में बोल दिया तो सही है।
तो आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं PIA को भी गिव अप नहीं करना चाहिए?
गिव अप कर लो यार। गिव अप कर लो यार, अब क्या। नहीं,
आई डू हैव अ सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर फॉर PIA।
वो आ सकते हैं वापस टॉप पे आ सकते हैं, लेकिन उसमें बहुत सारी चेंजेस की ज़रूरत है।
प्राइवेटाइजेशन की तरफ जा रहे हैं, तो आई गेस
फंड्स की ज़रूरत है, लोग थोड़े से आप चेंज करें, इंशाल्लाह PIA कैन बी बैक एट द टॉप।
इंशाल्लाह। Thank you so much, Joy.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Inshallah, we'll do it again.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.